This is Gordon Flemming from Chehalis, Washington. How do you say it?
Chehalis.
Chehalis,
Close enough.
Washington.
Yeah, it's close
And
enough.
Gordon, if you tell us the age that you went into the service and the years that you were on the ship.
I have to ask you, I went into the reserve when I was in high school. It was about this, let's see, about the freshman year. I went in to join the Naval Reserve. And everything was fine. We'd go down to our meetings and do our thing, and I graduated, got a nice job, and then I got a notice. Says, you report to San Diego certain day and see the reserve. You were already joined up, so you were there. So down to San Diego we went, and went through boot camp. And then they take a test. I don't remember what it was, but whatever my test, I qualified the machinist mate school in Great Lakes. So I was there through the winter of 50. That's the winter of 50. Well, then the funny thing about it, there was two other guys and I were good friends in boot camp, and they all went to this machinist mate school. Well, at the end of it, you would pick a ship by what your grade was. You had your choices was made by what your grade level was. Well, none of ours were the same. So what we chose to do, we talked to her, we said, well, I think Gordon was a little bit the lowest guy. Says, well, wait, because you could hold off and just turn past your turn. And we passed down till we got down to Harold Gordon, and the only ship that was open at that time needed 3 machinist mates was the Natchez. We had no idea what it was, what it did, where it was at, or anything. We didn't care. We just said, no, we were going to be together. Well, here it turns out it's this tanker. San Francisco loading ammunition, and that's where I got on board, was there in the night, dark, you know where we're at.
Request permission to come aboard?
Yeah. And then now what do I do? I'm on board, now what? Well, this guy finally, I guess a master at arms or whatever came and got us lined up, and that's where I wound up. I wound up in engineering, and then from that point they start moving you around to try to get you where you could be the most use. And I went through a couple of jobs and finally wound up in the pump room. It was the pumps that pumped fresh water to the boilers. And it was just an important job, if keeping that water moving and keeping those things going, and you'd work on them, switch them around, take care of them, make sure they were greased and oiled and everything. And you work around asbestos. And at that time, they didn't have no gloves, no mask, no suits like you have now. It looks like outer space suit now. So I got asbestos in my lungs from that. And times, you want to talk about liberties?
Sure, whatever.
Well, this ship, as it turned out, I guess right as after we got on board, it went to San Pedro and loaded fuel, gasoline, and we were then sent basically to the Mediterranean. Why, man, I thought, this is all right, this is going to be a cruise, and it was. We went out and through the Panama Canal and up through Corpus Christi. I didn't go to Newport, but I think we just went right from there to Gibraltar, I think, and spent weekend there, going and seeing the Spanish girls and dancers and all that, drinking a few beers. And so we bounced all around into the Mediterranean. Names that these cruise ships now, they spend thousands of dollars to go to, and it was all right. I enjoyed the trip. I've talked to other guys, they wouldn't trade that trip no matter what. I feel the same way. I wouldn't have traded it for anything. I met a lot of nice guys, had a lot of fun. And I never was a lack for meals, had a warm bed, kind of noisy in there, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a bad, bad thing that the engine room was right across the hall, and it was just open down there. That between the engine and the transmission, it was squealing. You know, you get used to it, and so you have ear problems, asbestos problems, and
Hot.
oh, geez, that one time it really got hot once. We were just telling somebody a while ago. I said, and of course he got it. I said, you guess how hot it got? And of course, how hot was it? Well, it hit as high as 128 in the boiler room. You have the blowers, outside pipes coming down, and you just stand there and try to, you know, cool off as best you can. But it was really hot. You take salt tablets, you know, steady. Yeah. And you couldn't take your shirt off. You could not take your shirt off. That was the captain's request. When we were lucky at that time too on that, our captain was a little loose as far as dress code. He would let us wear our dungarees out on deck when we were fueling. You know, I think they changed captains on us, and the next guy, I think he said, no, they have an undress blues that you can, and that's, geez, I thought, oh my God, you get that oil on them, or gasoline on them?
Mm.
What a mess. But we were in and out of, back through Panama Canal. Oh, we did one time come across the Atlantic, back, headed for home, and broke one of the blades off the prop. Boy, I'll tell you, you talk about noise and vibrations, that big prop. I can't believe how big that thing was. So we limped into the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and it's Christmas. And I mean, we're going to be here for a while they pull that prop out. Oh man, what kind of duty could you get? And everybody had passed to go home, except maybe a dozen guys. And I guess maybe because I wasn't going to go home anyway, it was too far to go. So we kind of developed a little bit of a Christmas party going on the ship. But then we got to go ashore and went and did the Empire State Building and the subways and had a good time.
Did you play any baseball?
And you what?
Any baseball?
One time on that island up out of Italy, Sardinia. Sardinia. The fleet was in. They were all anchored in there. So I guess we did challenge them to a ball game, but in order to have a game, you got to have a picnic kind of. So we had to go around all the ships that we could find and gather up, donate us enough beer to have a decent party out of it. We had the Liberty boat pretty well loaded when we got to the beach, but that was about the only baseball game I got involved with. I have no idea who won it or anything, but we had a good time. And there's no civilians or anything. It was just the ship's